It has now been over 1 year since I bought the UnderSun resistance bands, and I'm doing a review so that you can take a look to see if they are something you want to add to your home workout equipment. So let's jump right into it. Now, the UnderSun resistance bands are 5 orange resistance bands that range from 5 to 120 pounds of resistance. You can also mix and match these loop bands in order to have greater resistance throughout. The bands use what's called variable resistance, meaning the more you stretch the band, the more resistance is placed on the user doing the exercises. So that's kind of a cool way to use them, especially if you need to get past some of your sticking points, such as at the bottom of a deadlift or maybe even the bottom of a squat. These are different than tube style bands because they are one giant band connected together. There's no end to the band where you're putting on some type of attachment. Instead, they are one continuous band that you can then use and set up for your home workouts. Now, my order also said it came with a door stopper, but I never received it, and I didn't actually ask support for it, and that's fine because I have other door stoppers that I use, but just know you can buy them with the door stopper itself. I have run into issues in the past with door stoppers getting stuck in my door and me breaking my frame, but you can still use them if you have a solid door that you want to use to do some of your exercises in your routine. And for mine, I also did a side purchase and got the UnderSun gloves as well. These are, in my opinion, 100% necessary if you are doing anything where the band goes over your palms. This way you can protect the squeezing of the outside of the bands around your palms, which, by the way, is very uncomfortable at heavy resistance. So if you're doing something that requires a lot of resistance, or you're someone who can lift a lot of weight, for something, say, like bicep curls, if you're lifting them and that band is going around the outside of your palms, it is extremely uncomfortable to use without gloves themselves. They can also tear up your hands pretty bit, so that is why I recommend you buy gloves or the UnderSun ones from their website or Amazon. With that being said, I bought the UnderSun resistance bands on March 3rd of 2020 from Amazon.com. Now, I also did buy the gloves as a separate order from the bands. They didn't come with mine, so that was additional $35-ish, with the bands at the time being $88.95. So my total before taxes was $123.90, with the total after Texas taxes being $134.12. Now, for me, the price seems pretty high for resistance bands, especially when you compare them to other tube bands on the market. However, I have found the quality of these bands to be much higher. I will get into a snapping issue that happened to me early on, but just know that the bands, when you use them at heavier weights, which can go well beyond the resistance of the tube style bands, is where the best parts of these bands really come to life, especially when I add them to something like my resistance bands bar that I've been testing out recently. So let's get into the good stuff and my experience after using the UnderSun resistance bar for 1 year. So unfortunately, pretty early on, I think a week or two after buying the bands, I actually snapped the smallest of the bands, called the X Small band, when doing overhead tricep extensions on my right side. So all I was doing was standing on the band on the right side, had it in my palm and going overhead, and I ended up snapping it pretty much right after buying them, like 2 weeks max after buying them. Now, I did make a video on this, and I was pretty hard on UnderSun, honestly, with this video, except it did put me off that so quickly I was able to snap one of these bands. However, after a month or two, I chalked it up to maybe a manufacturing defect. I did get some comments from people who saw that video, and I decided why not go to customer support and get it replaced and see what happens in a newer one. So working with customer support was amazing. If you need to know how to do support for your fitness equipment or home fitness, anything that you're doing on Amazon.com, make sure that you have this type of support system set up. Within a day, I had the order already being shipped to me, and 2 days later, I had a replacement X Small band ready to go. And safe to say, since then, I have yet to snap the new band. I don't use it all that much. I combine it usually with the bigger bands to add more resistance, but by itself, I don't do it all the time anymore. But I've yet to snap it with the exercises I do put it through, which is quite a lot with the bar that I've been using with my resistance bands. Now, the UnderSun resistance bands are what changed my mind from going and using tube style bands to now using loop bands. I really, since getting UnderSun bands, have not gone back to the tube style at all. Now, I've done reviews on the What If It bands and the UPALX bands, which are some of my top watched videos on this channel. However, I've just found the tube bands work way better with my current setup and provide way more overall resistance than the tube style really can provide to me. Now, a lot of my training has changed with the loop style bands since first testing them out. Now, I used to do things where I'd set them up in a doorway, or I stand on them, or put them up against a wall with my feet and do something like seated rows. But now, after watching many of the advertisements I've seen online for the X3 bar, I decided to build my own, getting myself a resistance band bar, some quick links to put on the ends of them, and a step platform to put under my feet to help protect against any forces pushing inwards when doing some of my major lifts. So the bar I am using now is called the Instar Resistance Bands bar, and I am checking out some others just to kind of compare and see what's out there on the market. However, this one is really held up as the best one I've seen so far and is doing very, very, very well overall with both testing the UnderSun resistance bands and these Sun PAL bands themselves. And with this bar, I can put these bands through quite a workout. They are now putting multiple of the heaviest bands on for some of my exercises, such as front squats, deadlifts. I'm really putting them to the test with my deadlifts. And many of the other exercises I use with the step platform allows me to get some extra stretch in those bands and really, really stretch them out to see if they're going to snap. And especially testing with my Sun PAL versus UnderSun, we will see with this test after the end of this month in April which one will come out on top. If Sun PAL does survive, they probably will get the top spot because of the price. So with that, what are some of my future plans with the UnderSun resistance bands? So as you know, they are going head to head against the Sun PAL bands. I'm not going to beat that to death as I have mentioned it earlier, but just know they are going in a battle with UnderSun and Sun PAL to see who comes out on top right now. And even if UnderSun is overtaken by Sun PAL bands, I still think they are a great product overall, especially if you're looking into James Grage and his content and some of the other things he offers like the TA2 program. Those things I would definitely look into as maybe doing something for your own home training. Yes, I have my own home workouts, but if you just want to only use resistance bands, at the time of shooting this video, I don't have a plan that only uses bands. It uses body weight, dumbbells, a bench, and the bands with the bar. But I am trying to move towards the bands a little bit more as I think it's more affordable for people to do it at home that way. But just know, I don't currently have one. There may be one in the future, but if you really want to look into an only bands program, check out his online content and see if the TA2 program is something that'll work for you in order to help you build more muscle at home. And with that, that is my 1-year review on the UnderSun resistance bands. I've got many comments from my past videos on these, especially when I snapped that old band. And yes, it did kind of pushed me the wrong way initially with them, but I gave him another chance and I ended up really liking UnderSun. James Grage is excellent online, has amazing videos, especially if you really want to learn everything there is to know about fitness. And he is a really down-to-earth guy. I love his podcast as well. So make sure you check out his channel and podcast content as well. Now, if you did like this review, feel free to like and subscribe to GamerBody for more videos just like this one. And make sure you head over to GamerBody.com. That is where you can see my current home workout program. That is all free over there. Also, all the equipment I currently own and use, and it will be updated as I do all my tests, especially with the Sun PAL versus UnderSun, and all the information I'm continuing to learn from in order to build muscle and confidence, all from the comfort of home. And that is it. So again, like and subscribe. I'll see you all in the next video. Be fit and game on.